Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Hey, welcome back to On the Town. I thank you so much for coming back another week. I appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, you know I gotta do that, right? Yeah. Yeah. So this week is definitely thank you. Thank you. A topic very dear to my heart. So, welcome. And today's topic is Gone Without a Trace. Today's show is dedicated to all the missing children and teens that that we can only really help by uncovering the truth about missing children, right, and teens around the world. Every year, hundreds of thousands of young lives vanish, and too many of their stories never even make it to the headlines, especially brown children. It appears that they get some excuse of why they can't. There's a lot of boys missing in Canada right now, like a whole whopping group, and they don't know what's happening. DC has a high rate, the Bronx. I mean, there's so many places, but let me just give you, just a little insight. Okay, so excuse me, sorry, forgive my there I go with that thing again. Let me just give you a little insight, and I will leave the number down here, a 24-hour call center. If you ever do spot a child for missing, exploiting children, please call that number. Keep it handy because you never know. You can, because a lot of times, these kids, teens, and even, well, they don't usually like adults, but let's say adults, they get caught up in these if they get caught up in these traffic rings. That's a whole nother level of madness. We have the serial offer. That's one. We have the trafficker, and then we have those who ran away because they just got abused at home. They don't want to be there, so they figure it's better. I actually, years ago. I mean, years ago. Did I age out yet? I think I had aged out of foster care. I'm pretty sure I did. But I had met a young, I don't know if I can say this word on YouTube, prostitute on the street who was only like 16. And I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? So I was trying to convince them to go back home with every breath of my body. And then they shared a story how they were abused by their father since they were a baby or a little kid. And I was like, what? And the story was so devastating that there was no way I could tell them to go back to that home anyway. So I understood why she thought it was better and safer. And in her case, it happened to have been, for her case, literally she had to go off the grid. Like I won't even say the state it happened in because then someone can guess. But her parents, I'm sure, have never seen her again. And she's perfectly fine. She does not want to be found. And I don't blame her. If you knew what I knew, you wouldn't either. So there are those cases, but those are not usually what's going on. So here's some stats just to give you just a little idea. Okay, so we have Mexico has the highest rate of child disappearance in Latin America. Major cities like Ciudad, I hope I said it right, Ciudad de Mexico and Nuevo Leon at the forefront of that whole crisis right now. In the United States, there are 460,000 children go missing every year. Do you know what that means? That's like they could fill up a football stadium, I think. I want to say somewhere in that ballpark. That's how many children are in foster care. About, they keep saying the numbers are lower than the used to be 530,000, but that's another story, another case we'll talk about later. But if you just need an idea of how many could that fill, I want to say I forgot. Go look at the little graph thing. It tells you, or put in the chat and see how many. Not to Google search, sorry, how many children can fit in a football stadium, something like that. I forgot. There is some clear indicator so you get a visual of how many that really is. But the point of it is, guys, that's way too many, okay? 460,000 a year? Oh my, and that's all that's reported. So it's probably double if you ask me. Those are unreported kids or kids you never find, kids who are off the radar. So their parents had them and then sold them. And so you don't even know about those kids. There's tons of kids. But anyway, in India, there's 96,000 that disappear each year. In the UK, over 112,000. Germany, 100,000. Canada, 45,000 missing kids. Now, here's the thing about Canada. It's funny they say that because there's tons of young black boys missing and nobody can come up with why or what's happening at all, like nothing. So look at that. Australia, 20,000. Russia, 45,000. Jamaica, I'm very proud of you. This is a good number, 2,000. 2,000 compared to 460,000 total. That's not bad. That's not bad. Still, somebody ain't keeping an eye on their children, in my opinion. There's no such thing as missing kids. There's only parents and adults who are not being responsible. Um, and these are only the countries that track the data, guys. So those are only the people that actually make an effort. In too many places, the problem is like hidden in silence, confusion. I mean, it's crazy. Today, we're not just sharing like the stats. We're asking new questions. I'm hoping to ask questions that will change how we find and protect our children. Okay. They kind of sort of lumped it all together. Someone said two categories is how it goes when there's a missing kid. They're running away from something or running to something. So then the question is, well, what are they running away from? Like my friend, I won't say her name, actually. I thought about that. How are we addressing that? Like, right? And what are they running to? That's another thing. Who are they being lured by? Right? All these questions are important. And how are we addressing that? Those are very important, especially in today's social media world, where people give their kids laptops at like 9 years old. I'm like, why has your 9-year-old got a laptop? I'm confused. Well, they need it for homework. You're letting your kid do your homework on a laptop. And I can't believe a school would put homework on a computer for an 8, 9-year-old. It just makes no sense. You're just luring them to craziness. I've seen kids playing what are those games called? Some kind of video game they love playing. And strangers be up in the room pretending to be kids. And I'm like, don't you think that's a little weird? So you guys better look out for your kids, because usually when they're trafficked for trafficking versus a serial offer, you know what I mean? I don't want to say the word. I don't know why we can't say the word anymore, but we can't. That's a different beast, a whole nother beast. There are always going to be those sick, psycho people who have not gotten the mental help that they needed from their parents' atrocities or their atrocities. So they unfortunately take it out on little kids, which is really horrible. I can't connect with how that makes sense, but that's what's been happening. So you have that form of kids missing from the offers, but I think you usually know those when you hear about bodies washed up on the shore and they found the bones of somebody. I think that's when clearly those cases, but not necessarily, because sometimes when traffickers get done with kids, that's unfortunately what happens also. So now it's like, well, which one is it? But there's usually a pattern. I just don't think we are searching enough. Anyway, so the hidden highway, traffic and unseen. So when we hear the word trafficking, right, we picture like a dark van, back alleys, distant borders. But in reality, it's much quieter and way more local, guys, and far more scary. I hate to say, it could be most trafficked children never even come across a border. They cross the street, right? Literally. They meet someone online. You remember those 3 girls that was missing all those years? Where were they? Down the street or somewhere. It was somewhere close. It was like, what? And nobody, like, what kind of checking do we do? They accept a ride from someone they thought that they could trust. What we're witnessing today, guys, is normalizing of grooming. It's happening not in like secret tunnels, but in like school park lots, Snapchats, Discord, group chats, DMs. Yeah, DMs. If I could tell you the things I get in my DM, you'd be like, whoa, I would never give a kid a computer at this point. At not 8 or 9, no way. And I would never, by the way, let my kid walk home from school by himself at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, hell, even 11, 12, 13. I wouldn't let mine, but that's just me. I literally moved out of the city because I didn't want my kids taking a bus home. Sorry, it wouldn't be me. After the Elon Pates, I learned from that lesson. Thank you. So trafficking doesn't always begin like with chains. There I go. My throat again. Sometimes it begins with compliments, right? Oh, you look so nice. Now, with kids at home being abused, and they hear someone say they're nice and someone's being nice to them, or another trick is, what's another one? So you'll be like a young person hanging out, right? And let me see, how do I say? So you're like a young teenager hanging out, right? And this is a good lore that they use. Oh boy, this is a really good one. You'll be a young person hanging out, and so you and your friends are hanging out. So they'll send the most gorgeous, if you're a guy or girl, depending on which one, girl or guy, the one that you would envy, over to kind of invite you to their group. You want to smoke with us, you want to do whatever with us or whatever. And of course, if you're young, you're having a hard time at home, you're broke, you're poor, things ain't going right. You see somebody with $600 sneakers on, you're like, whoa, what is going on here? I need all that. And you got to keep in mind, for some of these young kids, especially if they're out in the street slanging, I'm using the slang term, they're on the street slanging, they're not really having any morals anyway. There's no morals. If you can slang, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, if you can slang to the degree of selling to pregnant women and doing all this other stuff, you don't have any morals. So you're even more of an easy target, because that's what the type of people, in my opinion, that Diddy looks for. And not just Diddy, but traffickers, people like that. That's what they look for. People that are gullible, can be lured with money. Because if I tell you, $20 ain't a lot of money, but if I tell somebody in another third world country, I'll give you $20, that's a lot of money. They're gonna be like, okay, I'm starving at this point, I'll do whatever. Those are also luring mechanisms. It's not just what we think is obvious in the eye. So think really hard. Another thing, traffickers don't always they don't look like villains. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes they look like your boyfriend, the recruiters, and even other teens, which is what I'm talking about. So I've seen that firsthand. I've worked with traffic victims before, and I got information that I think is very crucial, which is what these people will be looking like. Because they don't look like, thugged out or something like that. Of course not. That would never lure nobody. They look like a mom and a dad, or a grandma, or somebody hip and fly, or like a supermodel. Yeah, that's how they lure you. And especially, yeah, that's another lure, modeling. Be careful who people talking about, oh, you should model. You need to check out who the agency is. Make sure you do a search on them, check out your reviews on them, everything. Because that's another famous lore. It's like, you can model one day and see, and not to be relating it to the Diddy case, but it's very important, because then you'll understand what his trafficking, or not what his trafficking is about, but how that links in. Because remember, a trafficker, in their head, they just want to make money. They have no morals at all, which is why they can use young people, teens and young kids, babies. They don't care. There's no moral code. There is none. So that's why it's important that you teach your children not to be gullible. You know what I'm saying? Not to be like, oh my God, your house is so nice. Oh my God, the car is so beautiful. Oh my God, where'd you get that gold necklace from? Oh my God, your hair looks so pretty. Because guess what? The gullible teens that think like that, oh, they're looking at you like, oh, this is going to be easy. I just offer her $500. She's going to be out of her mind, which is what usually happens. I've seen young girls. I've seen it. I've heard stories. I've seen victims. I've heard victims over and over again. And the recurring factor was, the vanity, especially now with all the social media. Everybody wants to look like Kim Kardashian. Oh my God. Like, I don't know why, but whatever. God bless her, whatever. But everybody wants to look like that look. They want the long hair, and they want their nails done special with the gel, which is killing you also, by the way. It's another story. But they want all this glamorous stuff. And that's just materialistic stuff. So tell your teens, you got to have these conversations. You have to, because somebody's not having these conversations, which is why so many kids are turning up missing right now. You got to have these conversations. And so anyway, I was going to say, so recruiters, they're often use other teens. So here's the thing with Facebook, social media, Instagram, it's easy. Twitch and Discord, it's easy now. Y'all be out here putting yourselves right in the line of fire. And I'll tell you how. So I see teens I go through people's Facebook pages, and I be seeing young people with pictures of themselves, exposing themselves a little bit too much, as we say. And I'm like, girl, didn't your mama tell you that that's a no? But you see all the older tricks exposing themselves. So I guess in their little heads, because their brain's not fully developed yet, they're thinking like, I want to be just like that. And they get all the attention. So maybe I'll get all the attention too. What they don't realize is you're going to get the wrong attention, especially on Facebook And especially on Instagram, you better believe you get in Discord. What's another one they use? Twitch and all that stuff. You're out here putting yourself out here. You're talking to strangers like, yeah, so we can meet up and blah, 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 blah. No, you don't want to meet up with nobody. Why would you meet up with anybody? Because you can be in this day and age, it's highly likely you're going to be meeting Serial Offer Bob. That's what you're going to be meeting. So you got to tell your kids, though. For foster kids, nobody's going to tell you the message. So I'm going to tell you, stay off of, not stay on social media, but stop looking at it like it's the God. It's not. You know what I'm saying? You see all these girls like Yum MIA and all them other rappers and blah, blah, blah. They out here, they're out here with all this gear, trickery gear. You know what I'm talking about. They all like tricked out, okay? Hair looking crazy, nails, and y'all be like thinking that's cute. It's not cute at all. It's not cute. You're setting yourself up. I'm telling you. I've seen girls luring yourself right. I've seen girls saying, oh yeah, he's going to pay for me to fly to so-and-so. Girl, you getting on a plane. You don't even know him. Are you out your mind? Because you just got yourself somewhere you wasn't even supposed to be. I've seen it. That's why I love the movie Get Out. That's a good little tiny example of gullible people. Oh my God, these people have so much money. I want to go to the party. Everybody wants to go to the Diddy party. Everybody want to be a part of the Diddy party. Oh yeah, I never wanted to go to the Diddy party, and I didn't go to the Diddy party. And I got teased for not going because it was almost as if like, oh, you didn't get an invite. I said, it's not that I get an invite. It's just that you would never. There's two things about me. Don't tell me what to do. And the second thing is don't tell me what to do. And when you have an invitation that tells me I have to wear all white, bye, deuces, gotta go. That's a little strange for me in my head. I don't like people telling me what to do. So I never would have went to a Diddy party. Didn't want to go to a Diddy party. It didn't even sound appealing. I didn't even like him. I didn't like his mouth. Some people, you can look at their dishonesty, just look at their face long enough. You can catch all that. I didn't like it. So that's just me. But young kids, they can be gullible, which is how Jeffrey Epstein actually got a lot of the young teen girls. They would lure, Ghislaine and them would lure the girls with what else? Wealth and money. Everybody wants to be rich and famous, right? Not everybody, but most people, right? So what do? They want to. If I tell you, hey, Norma, I'm gonna hit you. Why don't you come with me to this party? There's gonna be lots of rich guys there. Oh my God, like lots of rich guys, and we're gonna just have such a good time. We go out anyway to the club, so why not just have a good time with rich guys? This is the lure that they lure you with, okay? And you have to be careful. You can't be gullible. I'm so thankful to God. That's never been a thing of mine. Gullibleness. I've never been starstruck. And I've met Michael Jackson, never been starstruck, Prince. I've never been starstruck. There's people that I like to meet because I want to pick their brains for information. Like one of my old bosses. Yeah, okay, I'm internally struck, but not because of it's them, because they're just like me. They just figured out something, their talent quicker and smarter and elevated it to the point that they can actually make a whole thing out of it. That's the difference. But young kids don't know that. They see the Naomi Campbells and all the other, the Chrissy Teigrens and be like, oh my God, I want to be a supermodel. It's like, really? Do you know what supermodels have to go through to be super? Okay, right. You got to ask the what, who, what, when, where, and why questions. Anyway, so when it comes to what traffickers look like, they can look like boyfriends. That's usually who lures you in, guys. Usually, how do you think women get on the night? What do you call them? Evening women, night women, whatever. I'm so outdated. How do you think they get on the street? Usually it's a guy posing as their boyfriend. Yeah, baby, we just need a little bit of money. Why don't you go out here and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's how it happens. But that's because you're gullible. If you're gullible or uninformed, that's another reason. So, and it's not, these are not accusatory. They are just think about it next time. Think about it. That's what this is. It's not, there's no judgment. Okay. So sometimes, recruiters, they use other teens. Obviously. Well, so what else do I lure you with? You know what I'm saying? People know abductors used to use like, oh, I lost my dog trick, because little kids, that's what they fall for. They're innocent. They don't know any better. Right. Or your mom told me to pick you up, those crazy things. But there's so many more of those And what makes the industry thrive isn't just the exploitation, it's the invisibility, guys. That's what it is, that no one sees it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, I'm sure you guys, only some of you will share this video, or share the pictures that you always see me posting missing kids. I don't do it because I'm trying to ruin your day. This is the one time I cannot use the secret. The secret says, well, whatever you want, put it in your whatever. Okay, I use that. But when it comes to missing kids, I'm sorry, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. In fact, I'm questioning, like, if someone's thinking that way, like, well, maybe you're part of the problem. I don't know. Because why would you want me to forget about these kids? Think about that. Anyway, runaway and homeless youth are prime targets, okay? They are prime targets because people know if they ran away from home, there's something really bad. For you to run away from home is like massive. Abuse is going on, and that can be physical or the other one, and that's terrible. So now you're like at a crossroad. Like, do I just go live on the streets because I'm being treated worse than the streets? That's the thing. Kids, find some place. There's so many places now that will help you for free. There's a place in Manhattan on 20-something street. They will help any teen up to 26, I think it is. So there's no reason for you to be out here begging other people for stuff. Another target, LGBTQ and teens, foster kids. Ooh, foster kids, y'all, I feel bad, but y'all probably like 60% of the cases, just like those in jail, you know? And that's because they know you don't have no parents, nobody to fight for you. You know, even when you hear about the stories of kids missing organs, the foster kids, you're like, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to even ask any questions. That kid that was rolled up in the mat at the gym and everybody's like, oh yeah, he was playing in the mat. No, your organs don't go missing from playing in a mat. Sorry, that's not going to work. But nobody cares because he was a foster kid. So you have to care about yourself at some point. If you're a kid, you're a teen listening, you have to care about yourself and you have to know how to make the right moves and the right decisions. I'm sorry, that's a part of mom and dad not being responsible parents and taking care of you. But sometimes as young people, you got to man up at yourself and say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do what I can for me. Right? That's sometimes you got to do it. And when it comes to missing kids, this is one of the things you better be doing. When I aged out, I did a lot of things. I can say, you know, when I was young, my teen years, sure, I went to parties. Sure, I did. But you wasn't catching me smoking on no cipher and drinking with some guy giving me. Nah. I've always been, before the trafficking was a thing, I've always been super, not paranoid. I'll just put it this way. Because of past abuse, it was actually a weird good thing. I knew that if I was drinking or getting high, I could put myself in the same predicament again, and there was nothing I can do about it. So that's why that helped me, actually. So foster kids, you should be using that as a great thing. I don't need to be in a room high. What do you need to be high for? Like, I'm confused. If you're around people that you like and they support you and they're loving people, you know, dope friends, what conversation could you possibly be having smoking all day? I'm confused, but don't let me tell it. I know some of y'all back, I love mine and I'm going to keep doing it. You do what you want to do. I'm just giving advice. You don't have to take it. So especially kids without stable homes, those are the ones, they are often recruited within 48 hours of being on the streets. 48 hours, within 2 days, guys. That's how quick it happens, like literally. So, you know, if you're going to run away, you better have a better plan than just going, I'm just going to hang on the bench. No, that's not where you want to be. You better have a really, really good plan or friend, somebody to touch down base with. Because if not, you're just playing a gamble, which, I mean, some people say I'd rather gamble. I've heard stories that were so horrific from home that I was like, dang, what am I going to say to this? I couldn't even address it. That's how bad it was. So I'm not going to say everybody's peachy king at home and, oh, you should go back and forgive your parents. Nope. If your parents are abusing you like that, nope. I don't believe in forgiveness for that. You know, forgiveness is tropical, but like, oh, I forgive you and I'm going to come live back. Nah. To show me who you are once, I believe you. Trust me. But anyway, here's what is rarely talked about. Some of these kids are still living at home. Okay. Yes, parents are out here trafficking too. Don't forget that. Or they're being trafficked, and so they go to school. They post selfies. That's where you see them all those little baby hairs and all that crazy stuff. Oh my God, I can't stand baby hairs anymore. I'm done with baby hairs. You see, I didn't slick mine down purposely. They post their selfies. They're being trafficked on the weekends, guys, or after curfew, and no one even notices. because they're still making it home by morning. So nobody even notices what is going on. Um, we need to understand that trafficking as a system, not as an event. It thrives where systems fail. In schools with no counselors or they're on phones without parental insight, in shelters that are over capacity, and in courtrooms where missing kids are treated like runaways, not victims. Okay? We can ask, why didn't she scream? But we don't ask, why didn't anyone listen before she was taken? That's what we don't ask. You know, it's crazy. You know, even with the kids doing the offing of themselves, there's plenty of signs beforehand, but nobody ever pays attention, ever. So anyway, some more stats, startling stats. Every 2 minutes, guys, a child is trafficked for you know what I'm talking about, in the United States. That's over 300,000 children a year. Okay. It's more than that, but that's what they give me. You know, each site, site you go to, Namba, not Namba, what's it called? The different. I put the link when I put it on YouTube. The link has the resource to who to go to. So 60 to 70% of trafficked children in the U.S. come from the foster care system or child welfare services. Guys, that's disgusting. I just found out today. Yes, the global stats. Oh, it's bad. You guys got to. I did your stats already earlier. 100,000 a year go missing at least. That's all that's reported. So is it the Netherlands? Where is that? The Netherlands? Look up the story, somebody. I think it's the Netherlands, where they've been taking in foster kids from other countries and trafficking them or using them as slaves. Yeah, you heard me right. Young kids. Yeah. So that's the thing too. So I'm leery of anybody adopting outside of their specimen code or whatever, because now I'm like, there was a guy in Texas who was adopting all these. He adopted like 13 kids. You know what he was doing? Using each of them starting at 6 months old to 13, I think was the oldest, for his personal finance. He was a millionaire, but he was a millionaire. Now we found out from the kids. Yeah, you use your imagination. Yeah, so this is going on more than you think. And I hate to be the one to tell you, but somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it, because we keep saying, oh, no, I don't want to talk about that. I don't talk about that. It's too scary. I don't want to talk about it either. Do you think I want to talk about this? I don't want to. Yeah. Oh, drug mules. That's a whole nother thing. They often get kids to use, young kids, gullible, impressionable kids, 14, 15, to be the drug mules, because to them, it's still better than being broke. Like in their world, especially depending on what region you come from, some people are like, I'm not going to be broke and I'll do anything not to be broke. So if you have that attitude, that's what they look for. That's what they look for. But what you don't anticipate is them to shoot you up with drugs and get you strung out and have you out on the street. That's what they don't. That's what you don't. That's the part they didn't tell you about. They're going to promise you want to be a singer? Okay, I'll make sure you're going to be a superstar. You know, that girl, Ali Carter, she talks about that all the time, about what they promise people and how they keep you there even after, the drugs, well, not the drugs wear off. They keep you medicated pretty much, let's say, because then you don't realize the scope of what's going on. But the lure is, you see famous people around you. So you're like, oh, well, I'm with so-and-so, so I'm going to be really making it. That's your impression, right? Young people. And then you're like, well, you're going to make me just as famous as Justin Bieber. Well, of course I'll do whatever. Because some people don't, again, you don't have a moral code. Guess what? Somebody will make up something for you. Okay. So anyway, 1 in 6 children or more of the more than 28,800 children reported missing to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that's NCMEC, in 2023 were likely victims of child sex trafficking. I don't know if I can say that word, sorry, trafficking. 60% of all runaways are approached by a trafficker within the first 48 hours. Remember that. Do not forget it. The average age a child first becomes a victim of trafficking is between 12 and 14 years old, although I believe that number is way younger. But that's only from stories that I know about and have heard and personally have listened to. So I don't know. Anyway, here's a couple of quotes from a few survivors. So one said, there was a point where you begin to feel numb. You really feel like you're not even a person. That was a girl. Her name is Sheila White. She's a survivor and an activist. Another one said, I just wish that girls everywhere get a chance to live the way they were meant to, in dignity and freedom. That's by Daniela Mestiniak Young. She's a survivor and author of a book. And another one, the last one, said, before I had given up hope in life. That's why I was so bitter. Now I've come to realize that there is still hope for me. And her name happens to be Hope. She's from Uganda. So poor girl. That's a whole nother level of what's going on in Africa. They're taking girls from parts of Africa to come and pretend like to work as servants in Dubai, which is why I don't like Dubai, and other parts, some parts of India, different places, and they're using them as human slaves, literally. And nobody talks about it, especially Dubai. Their little secret they ain't going to tell you about. It's so nice there because it's a man-made place. I personally would never visit a place that I honestly know, even though, I mean, they say, well, you live in America and it's happening. True. But I'm planted here, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to purposely go spend my money someplace that I know you're doing that. Certain parts, I won't do it. Anyway, so here's some questions. I came up with like 6 questions parents or even police should be asking, right? So 1, I'd like to know what digital platform was the child most emotionally attached to? And who were their top 5 contacts on those platforms in the last 30 days? That's important. I think police asked that one, but just in case, if you're a police officer, please listen to that one. I'm pretty sure that you have to. I mean, I don't know why, but I mean, I have heard cases where cops did not ask those questions. So maybe it's local. I'm not sure. And I get it. Sometimes they're like, well, they're a runaway. Or if they think that the kid is just out there on drugs or doing things, they'll be like, yeah, it's no big deal. It's like, no, it is a big deal. If someone's being held against their will, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal. And yes, they may have done silly things and didn't know it, but that doesn't mean they should be held against their will. So 2, what was there a sudden shift in the child's online behavior, such as deleting a search history or frequent password changes in the last 2 weeks? Very important, because that tells you the sneakiness is going behind who they're going to meet and all that stuff. And they probably told them to do that. So very important. And 3, has the child spoken or written about wanting to start all over or leave behind everything, even in passing comments, songs or lyrics or creative writing? That's what you want to ask. 4, is there any specific pattern in the child's school attendance, location check-ins, or GPS-enabled devices data that reveal an intentional deviation from your routine? I would suggest parents download Citizen app. Okay, you can talk to Dennis Mapp about that. He knows a lot. If I'm not mistaken, that is the one app that can not only track your kid, but even when it's shut off, they can find them. Okay, I know if I'm not mistaken, he can quote me on it later, but he found over 800 missing kids himself without all the team, okay, because of the Citizen app. So you guys might want to check that out. Citizen app, check it out. It's free. Yeah, apps are annoying because they're kind of invasive, but when it comes to at least a peace of mind and knowing where your kid is, I'd get it. I would definitely get it. It would definitely, hands down, you don't have to ask me twice. If I had young kids today, for sure. I'm going to get to you guys' questions in a minute. If you've got any questions, leave them for me. I'll get to all of them. So 5, who was the last non-family adult seen with the child? And what is their digital fingerprint like on social media, their online presence, or their employment record? Very important. If it's shiesty, you already know what time it is, right? 6, the last one, was there any online or offline incident, no matter how minor it seemed, that made the child feel unsafe, unheard, or isolated in the past month? Very important, because a lot of times they get bullied online or people trying to get them to do something. And there's always a sign, especially when they be in traffic and they got young people luring them in. There's always some sign. I think there always is. I just think people are lazy to do the work. I think somebody needs to come up with, or the cell phone companies to come up with a way to access information quicker, and that would help. And it's funny, they got all these flying drones, they got all these cameras on every corner in every state after September 11th. Well, they say after December 6th, but whatever, I don't, September, whatever day that insurrection, resurrection, whatever happened. But we already know they got cameras everywhere. And how do we know? Because when they go find certain offers, what do they say? We caught them in this such and such place. It's like, yeah, how did you know that? Anyway, so whatever. They have cameras everywhere. There's no reason why a kid should be missing. None. Absolutely none. If he just walked out of his door right now, the camera on the next 20, 30 blocks show what happened. The cameras on the highway show what's happening. You just have to know where to go. Go to DOT in New York City, certain places you go to get the information. That's it. So maybe I'm making it sound easy, because sometimes it sounds easier than it really is. But I just think that we're not doing the work. So what are the disparities in missing children by race? U.S. Okay, so in the U.S. at least, while white children are more likely to receive media coverage, remember Natalie, remember the little girl, John Renee Ramsey, all these people, they always got national attention, like, oh, she's missing. Minority children, especially Black children, Latino and Native American girls, are disproportionately reported missing, but they don't get as much coverage. Black children make up 14% of the U.S. child population, but approximately 38% missing children reports. Latino children also face underreporting and low media attention. 5,712 Native Americans missing women and girls on 2016 alone. Okay, there was a site, I was trying to find it again, I couldn't find it, where they were posting all the Native American girls missing. It's ridiculous. You hear me? Ridiculous, but ain't nobody talking about it. And I was trying to find someone to come on the show and talk about it because it's important. The more this is something where you have to share. You have to tell other people, because if you don't, I might not never see it. You might see something that you didn't even think about. So according to so they are 10 times more likely to be offed or essayed. Unfortunately, according to the National Crime Information Center, Indigenous girls are missing at a rate that is underrepresented in official stats, and they're often misclassified and left out of the national database, which is crazy. So you got the idea. Anybody have any questions? Because it's crazy. And with that, I will say this. I'll look up here and say hi to you guys. Hey, Grandma Norma, how you doing, darling? Hey, thank you. Hey, Jen, how are you? Well, yep, I know. So much stuff. Hey, Todd, what's up? Yes, it is very sad. Hey, Anthony, what's up? Yeah, it's crazy. I'm hoping, why I do this show, I usually like to have a guest because it's good to have a back and forth, and it's good to have a professional resource if you can. But my guest for this week get canceled, and I had been putting this show off for a minute, this particular topic, because it's really dear to my heart. Missing kids is something that's happening, and I don't know how true it is, but I've been looking for someone, and I was recently told in the chat group that they think that person was abducted as a kid, and that's why I haven't been able to find them, which is very depressing for me. But, I have to face the reality that that's probably what happened, because I ain't never seen nobody missing like that in my life. I ain't never seen that. Adopted kids be missing like that. They usually find them, even if they don't want to talk to you, and they say, we don't want to talk. I've never seen them off the whole map. So that means the adopted parents must have not only, which happens, change the name, they change the birthday to try to throw off anybody looking for them. But I believe that group that in the town that he grew up in. So I don't know. It explains why he hasn't found me yet, but that's another story. Anyway, who else? Sophia, hello, my darling. How are you? How are the global stats like the UK? Yeah, 100,000 kids a year at least are missing. That's all that's reported. So I always say double it. And because remember, who they're not adding in those lists? The undocumented kids, right? So all those kids, they have 350,000 kids, I want to say, when Biden was in office, that was missing. Something crazy that was missing. I was like, 350, that's a lot of kids. But undocumented kids, you ain't going to have no stats on them. So that's the scary part. The global stats, I gave you the global stats earlier. If you go back, you'll see they're there. Yeah, it's crazy. What'd you say? Me too. People have asked why. Visit or consider living in Dubai. I heard about Dubai. Yeah, help. Yes, yeah. That doesn't sit right with me either. Dubai. They shame on them. I'm not going nowhere where I know you mistreat my people. It is not happening. Or any people. I'm not doing that. Nope. I can't do it. Sorry, can't support you. So anyway, guys, I just really wanted to bring light to that, bring light to it today because you know, what are we going to do? I keep seeing these posters come up every 5 minutes, literally on my thing. It's scary. It's scary, not for me, but for some mothers who lost their child. This is why I tell parents who are on drugs, get off of drugs or don't have kids. One of the two, just don't have kids, because you having kids that have to go into foster care, um, they have to go into foster care. It's just not. It's not fair. It's not fair to them that they're going to be the ones who are trafficked first. Um, it's just not fair. So anyway, with that being said, these aren't just statistics, guys. That behind every number is a name. There's a face. There's a story. There's a child waiting to be found. Awareness is the first step, but action is what brings them home. So here's how you can help, guys. Okay, here's just one way. Yes, yes, that's right, Norma. There are way more Black kids missing than any other kids, and we get ignored the most. We get no press at all. We have to like fight for the press. Um, it's crazy. Sorry, I was getting a thing right there. So anyway, here's how you can help. Share verified missing child alerts. So if you see it's really from channel NBC News, share it. Okay, because sharing is how people jog their memory when they see, oh, I saw that kid on the street the other day, huh? It may be just a runaway, it might be, but at least we know, right? Report suspicious behavior or tips, even anonymously, right? If you see a guy you hear screaming coming out of his house and kids coming in and out, but you don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's a little suspicious, right? Educate your children about digital safety. That's important. Okay, that's everything. Matter of fact, if my kid was under 13, you ain't getting no computer. You're not getting no cell phone for sure, unless maybe to go to school and come back. That's it. I don't know. Something like that. Support organizations that advocate for equitable media coverage for all missing children, not just the ones that make the headlines. Okay, together, guys, let's make sure no child slips through the cracks, because one missing child is way too many. It's way too many. This is Gone Without a Trace. Until next time, stay aware and stay loud, guys. And make sure, I'm going to show you here, make sure you check out next week show, Father's Day, because my friend Denise DiStefano will be on. Out of respect, her book, she was talking about, being the daughter of a child I'll just say, I'll let her tell you. I don't want to give it up too much, but she survived a lot, and she wrote a book about it, and her dad, and how his lessons helped her. So make sure next Sunday you tune in. Okay, she'll be my guest next week. And as always, I appreciate you guys for being with me. Please share, because I need people to understand about trafficking and missing kids. I didn't even go deep in like I wanted to, because I didn't have a source with me to go deeper in. There's a lot more. There's so many levels of this, but this is the first level, is awareness. Okay, so please share, and you guys make sure you take care of yourself and share this video. Okay, and I'll see you next Sunday for